All right, good afternoon. It's Wednesday, October 13th, 2021. You're attending a session of the Baltimore City Ethics Board. Per the Open Meetings Act, we're required to tell you that the board discloses it adjourned its virtual open meeting on September 8th, 2021 to enter into administrative session at approximately 2:49 p.m. with 3 board members present who discussed administrative matters, including complaints. That having been said, the board may need to close some or all of the meeting today to preserve the confidentiality mandated by the Ethics Code or is otherwise authorized by the State Open Meetings Act. Likewise, upon adjournment of the open session today, the board may reconvene for an administrative session to discuss non-public administrative functions of the board. All right, good afternoon, and we'll move to discuss the September 8th, 2021 public meeting minutes. I have reviewed them. I don't take notes, as well as Jeff and Mara, who presented us with a lot of statistics, including help desk numbers and things like that. So outside of the numbers, substantively, everything looks great. And I would move that we approve these minutes.
Second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all in favor of approving the September 8th minutes, signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, so they are approved. And we'll move to Jeff and Mara.
Thanks, Chair Fogelman. First of all, I want to thank you all for the input and approval you had on the annual report. I think it was a big achievement for us to get an annual report out for the first time since 2014. The Ethics Board is required by the city code to do an annual report, but due to being under-resourced and potential other factors, the board just had not done that. So it's a big accomplishment, and I think we can all feel proud of having that out. And many thanks to Mara for some wonderful sort of design work in getting that to be very user-friendly and aesthetically pleasing. Moving on to ethics trainings, in August.
Okay, so did Mara do all of the layout herself?
For the most part, yeah.
That's amazing, because every time I see a report of that caliber, somebody has sent it out, outsourced it to a professional graphic artist, and I was wondering if we had done that. So I'm more impressed than ever, Mara. That was a very professional job, and you saved money, so much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
we have. Do you know Canva?
Yeah.
Canva. Yep. Yeah. So I was working on Canva, so let's see. There's a lot of fun stuff you can do. So thank you.
Oh,
I'm glad you like it.
Okay.
Yeah, but it still takes a good eye and a good
it's work.
dedication. So yeah, thank you, Mara. Very well done. All right, getting into the metrics here. In September, there were 220 people who completed the ethics training. In the automated course section, 162 completed the recently new automated course. And then I did provide a live training to the Department of General Services, and 58 attendees were on that one. So far in October, we have 194 people enrolled. And then in November, I think I mentioned last time, we're rolling these out in sort of a three-month rotation. November, we have 103 people registered so far. And then December, 24. So in just this fiscal year, so since the end of June, we've had 318 people take an ethics training, and that's close to the total number we had in the previous fiscal year. So I think the automated training has really helped get those numbers up. And I think we even see that reflected on the help desk, which I know we often mention, but in last month we had 89 help desk requests, and 37 of those were ethics inquiries on a variety of matters. 33 of them, that was the next highest number, dealt with the training and training questions and registering for the training. So we're seeing a synergy between the training and the requests for guidance, which is I think to be expected, and it's continuing, which is good to see. There are 25 help desk requests so far in October. So just in fiscal 22, 283 total requests, help desk requests, and the majority of those have been for substantive ethics guidance. Let's see.
Excellent.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Arnold may have a question for you.
Actually, he doesn't. Thank you for thinking I did, but no, he doesn't. Thank
Oh,
you.
okay, sure.
He
And
said he does.
I think I see a hand there. Donna?
Yep, that's me. So we're tracking who completed it online, but those records have to be requested, right?
What do you mean?
The reports of who completed it online. Are we getting those yet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. So DHR sends us a list every month.
Oh, great. Now, is there any tracking on the questions to see if there's one particular question that a lot of people are getting wrong?
Not that I know of, because they can't move forward until they get at least 80%. So they might have to retake the quiz so many times. We do track their surveys, and we do have all of the results for the surveys. And often people will note if they had an issue or a question, they'll write it on their survey, and then we'll follow up with them. But no, there's not that I know of. I can follow up with the DHR to see if we can. See the quiz
and what kind of feedback have we gotten written in?
Very, very good feedback. I'm really impressed. Some people will note questions that they have about the ethics law, but overall people say that they love that it's online. They found it very engaging. So it's very positive feedback.
Okay.
Yeah, and even when we moved it to anonymous feedback, it continued to be a high level of positivity. For the first round, we had it tied to their name, and we felt that probably was not the best practice. So now it's anonymized, and it stayed high, high feedback. Which, you know, I think it's certainly not a perfect platform, but it's a whole lot better than what we had before, which was nothing. And some good substantive comments. I mean, I think one of the few recurring improvement suggestions was maybe having even some more interaction, some more quiz type of content.
Okay.
So that's something that I think we can think about for the future.
But I did find like the average rating each month. It's generally, if you did like out of 5, it's like, I think it's 4.25. And the majority of people say that it's the right amount of technical, like it's not very technical. Yeah. It's very easy to understand. There are every now and then a few people will say it's too technical, and other people will say it's not technical enough. But overall, the average is around like 4.5. So that's good out of 5.
The only other thing I've heard, and it did resonate with me as well, is when I go into something like that up front, I like to see the breakout of there's 6 sections. The first section is 20 minutes. The second section is 20 minutes, so that I can allocate the right time, for taking it or coming back to it. I know somewhere it said, there's 6 sections, and overall it's going to take this much time, but a breakout would be appreciated. That's all.
Yeah, I can add that easily.
Next time.
Yeah. Perfect. I can at least add it to our website.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and Arnold, just so you know, you still have your raise your virtual hand feature on. So
I apologize, Judge.
That's okay.
There's a screen that normally gives me the options, but for some reason today I can't see the sub icons to control it. So I apologize. That's what's giving me the wrong indication. I don't know how to turn that off. I did find mute and unmute on that what looked like a blank strip, and I tried muting just in case something in my system was causing the sound of frying fish to come through.
I'm hearing. I think it's coming from Jeff's end, actually.
Oh,
it might be this time. There's a bit of spotty internet currently where I am, so I'm.
Okay.
Could be.
I think it sounds like some kind of summer rain. Oh, it's gone now.
It could be gone now. It's
just
kind
when
of
I was
shy.
getting to like it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so
I was
raise
like,
your real hand.
sleepy.
Raise your real hand if you have a question, since the technology's letting us do.
Okay, cool.
All right, Jeff and Mara, do you have any other updates? Jeff?
Jeff, you're muted.
There we go. See, coming out the summer rain, and now
it was you.
we had 4 gift solicitation applications submitted, and we'll be talking about those. One final report was submitted and reviewed and accepted, and one interim report was submitted, reviewed, and accepted. And I was saving the financial disclosure statement update till the end. So we have 8 outstanding filers still. That's come down from, I think, 13 or 15 last time we spoke. And there are 6 board members and 2 employees. And frankly, I mean, we've really, I think, done as much communication as we can on this. Mara set up, kind of private instruction sessions, or left phone messages with everybody she could. At this point, either the appointing authority of the board members or the supervisors of the employees have been copied on communications that these individuals are out of compliance. So that's really, I mean, I sense that that's all we can do from a communications perspective. With regard to the 2 employees, and I know we mentioned this in the past, the board does have it within its authority to recommend suspension until they fill them out. There's not that similar type of, I guess, stick for the board members. But at this point, I think we've exhausted the communication and outreach that we can do on that.
I do think we should proceed with the cure or corrective action, or whatever we want to call it. With respect to the employees, we send a written notice to the manager of the employee, or the department head, I would say, and HR, and say, multiple attempts, unsuccessful. If not submitted by, then please, we recommend proceeding with disciplinary action. With respect to the board members, a similar memo to the chair of the board they represent, and the staffer who supports them. But there, the cure recommendation would be proceed with taking them off the board if they don't fulfill the requirement.
To the extent that we can do that, that can be done by law, I love it.
Well, he just said it could.
Yeah. So if that's the mechanism, I support that fully. But there is such a mechanism. So
you're on mute, Melody.
I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to interrupt. No, I totally agree. I think it should be a threshold condition of employment or appointment to the board. I mean, it's pretty simple.
And in the case of board membership, they can just resign.
Yeah,
I think that's the other
right
way out. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. I think it needed board direction to say that that's sort of the last step, and I think we can do that. Okay.
All right, anything else?
Oh, that was your earpiece. Okay.
Like
that was your earring?
Caught it. So is that the sum and substance of your report today? Great.
That is. The rest will be on the agenda.
All right, and we moved to old business, but I don't think we have any old business.
I think that's right. No old business.
All right, we'll go ahead and move into new business today. We have several items to consider. First up will be charitable gift solicitation applications and the request from Colin Harbert of the Baltimore Development Corporation. This is for program funding. Jeff or Mara, do you have anything to add to this request?
Nothing to add to the request.
All right, members, any discussion? Donna, I'm sorry.
All right, looking at 4 applications simultaneously, it brought to light the variability in the submissions. So I just want to calibrate one more time. First off, what forms or form is required? Some are submitting one, some are submitting two, some are doing a paragraph version of the form. So tell me, Jeff, what exactly is required?
The requirements are laid out in the regulation, which is spelled out on the application form, which I think every one of them at least included the application form. And I don't have the regulation pulled up in front of me, but at base, what they have to include in the application is proof of endorsement of the Board of Estimates for the purpose of the solicitation, and then the answers to the questions on the application form. So that
What's the other form that's being submitted?
Which other form?
Maybe a cover letter? Is that what you're talking about?
No.
What we usually see.
Go ahead, Mara.
Okay, well, all of them have attached a memo from the Board of Estimates that's been signed and the application. Some of them combine them into one document, while as others submitted them separately. However, every single application will include the ethics application, the Board of Estimates signed memo, and then some offices prefer to take the questions because there's not enough room in the form and to put it into a Word document. So that is, I think, just the case for one of them.
Okay.
But all of them include at least those two components.
So you were making sure before we get it that all of the required information is there.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
So my next question is the Board of Estimates approval. They approve it before we get it. I can't read the signatures, and there's no signature block on some of them, and others type a name, but it's not a signature. And then the Board of Estimates applying for this and then signing off their own requirement or not having a higher level signature seems a little wonky to me. So the whole signature block is another questionable area to me. If the mayor or the council president are asking for permission or authorization to do something, and they're also on the Board of Estimates that's approving it, it would seem to me that you'd require at least a Bill Henry type signature, not a clerk who didn't really sign it. I don't know. I'm putting it out there.
I'm not an expert at how the Board of Estimates always passes their agenda, but my understanding is, so each of these are on the public agenda. When it comes up under sort of gift solicitation for X, Y, and Z, it's included on the public agenda, and then I believe they're usually on the routine agenda, which is just then voted on. And that's why all we see is then the clerk's signature, because once the routine agenda is voted on, and that means everything within that agenda has been passed, it just receives the clerk's signature at that point.
Well, who's the clerk's signature?
The clerk.
There's two signatures on the form, right?
Which form? Because I think in practice what has happened is it has the signature block on the application, but they'll either say see signed BOE memo, or they just include the signed BOE memo. So I mean, if we either want to get rid of the signature block on the application and just make sure we have the endorsed BOE memo, we can do that. I understand your confusion. Occasionally that
you're saying when we get it, it's already been to a vote. Okay.
Yes.
But yes. I don't have any way of knowing. All I'm seeing is either a scribble that I don't know who it is, or a typed name that doesn't look like they really signed it. And I didn't know the proper level of approval. Okay.
Yeah, that's the clerk's signature, which means it had been voted on by the Board of Estimates.
Okay.
And
I guess the other thing is, there does appear to be a lot of cut and pasting going on, but I just don't get how funds are solicited when they, sometimes they're very explicit and saying we're going to put it on our website and it's going to be a come and see it kind of thing. Other times they say we're going to go direct. This is a direct request. We're going to specific people to ask for money, cash. but we're not going to get any controlled sources. But if we do go to controlled sources or prohibited donors, then we'll make sure they know no preferential treatment. So it kind of goes down a path and then backs end itself into a twisted what?
And if I could comment on that specific thing, I mean, I hear the concern. That is the current criteria in the regulation, that it says controlled donors will not be targeted specifically. To the extent that they are targeted, they will not be singled out from the general solicitation. So, you know, the reason that it's being voted on by you all is because what it says is in the general solicitation campaign, there may be controlled donors who either receive the request, but they're not going to be targeted in like they're going to receive the general communication or the general solicitation that we're going to send to everybody. So the waiver that you all end up signing off on is simply saying, we understand that might be the case. We understand that controlled donors might be among the group of people who are solicited here or who are donating here, and that otherwise would be an ethics law violation. But because the purpose has been endorsed by the Board of Estimates, because in this application there is a verification that they're not going to be controlled donors won't be targeted, and then that there are the reporting requirements, then they have to account for the funds. It's sort of creating this environment where I guess you all say it's a controlled enough environment and we have enough information up front that it appears to be controlled. Yeah.
And when it is in writing, I think you do get the transparency, or at least the visibility. But when they say they're going to do the solicitation in person, one-on-one, and ask for cash, how is that tracked?
Well, they should be reporting any cash received on their reports.
But are they reporting who they sent it to, too?
I think there's a place on the report to say who, if you know of any controlled donors for this solicited, write them on the report. That is on the report.
It seems unreasonable to me if accountability and transparency are what we're looking for, to say I am going to go one-on-one to people and ask for cash. You know, in person, verbally. Just my opinion. Okay, done with that. Go ahead.
No, Donna, I have some of the same questions that you have, but I think it might be helpful to go through these one at a time and talk about those so that it gives a little context. Because I agree with you, but discussing it in sort of like a nebulous way like this it's just helpful to me personally, or I don't know if other people agree. Yep. Look at them, you know, on a case by case basis, and then, you know, maybe that would be helpful to do.
Yep.
So as far as discussion on the substance of the ask here, is there any concern?
Which one are we doing? I'm sorry.
We're on the BDC.
No, I didn't have any issue with BDC. I'm familiar with the organization. I'm familiar with the accounting group or the ones managing the money, and I have confidence in them. So I had no issues with their request.
All right, Arnold, anyone? All right, not hearing any other discussion, I'll go ahead and move that we approve this solicitation for BDC program funding. Can I get a second?
Yep, second.
All in favor of approving BDC program funding solicitation, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's carried. We'll move on to the Mayor's Office of Children and Family Success, the Baltimore Guaranteed Income Pilot.
And I believe we have a representative from that office on the line with us.
Great.
Steve, I don't know if you wanted to hear from her or would just like to put questions to her if you had them. Up to you.
No, I'd love to hear from her. Not knowing exactly who her is right now, but
Leah Ferguson.
Yeah, Ferguson.
Wonderful. How are you doing, Leah?
Good afternoon. I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good.
Great. This is what we do. We're a family here.
Well, this is my first time joining one of your meetings, so I'm pleased to see each of you and to be part of this. I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm also happy to give a little bit of just an overview if you'd like. However you prefer, please give me guidance.
I, for one, would like to hear a little bit more about the program. Just an overview.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So, Baltimore's, so Mayor Scott joined a national network called Mayors for a Guaranteed Income earlier this year. He's very interested in launching a program around guaranteed income in Baltimore. So essentially what this program is intended to do is to enroll a select number of participants and provide unconditional direct cash payments to those individuals for a period of time. Part of what happens in your partnership with Mayors for Guaranteed Income is that they provide not only technical assistance and guidance for your program, but also an evaluation team to make sure that we're learning from each of these programs in terms of what are the impacts for the participants who are receiving the funds, but also for a control group of similar people who are not receiving the funds. And so we're able to get very rigorous outcomes studied as a part of the work. The program that we're looking to launch in Baltimore is still in development. The details of it are not determined, though. I can share with you the typical programs across the country are small in scale, between 1 and 200 participants, and run between 12 and 24 months. And the participants receive between $500 and $1,000 a month. And so typically what we would see, the first city that did this as a mayoral-led program was Stockton, California. They organized, it's called SEED, I think it's Stockton Economic Empowerment Demonstration Project. And their program ran for 2 years, and their evaluation just recently came out for their first year, and they showed kind of remarkable outcomes, not only increases in full-time employment for the control group relative to the, for the target group relative to the control group, but also just large demonstrable gains in personal well-being for the recipients and household well-being, health factors, and financial factors were improved. So it's a program that has a fair basis of research, but also a growing number of cities who are participating in running pilots with evaluations, with the effort of learning as much as we can around how to make sure that these policies, as advocates are really pushing for these policies on a federal level where they can really be sustained in the long term, is with federal funds, that those are implemented in ways that are aligned with where the research shows greatest impact and benefit. I'll also add, from a funding perspective, this is a program that we are looking to have permission to raise funds philanthropically, but also are seeking ARP funds from the city's process to support as well, so that this would be both a public and privately funded.
ARP?
The American Recovery Plan dollars, so those, yep. And so the city has set up a pretty rigorous process for agencies to apply for those funds. And so we're going through that process as well as going through the process here to get permission for soliciting charitable funds.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Leah. And I know Vice Chair Davis, given what we talked about in the last solicitation, is going to have a question or two about how do you solicit. So thank you in advance. Vice Chair? I assume you have a question for Mrs. Ferguson regarding the exact method of solicitation in this matter?
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to you.
Why? Did I have my hand up?
Yes, you do.
Oh, it's still up from last time.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
But also this was
Arnold still has his hand up, but you know what he's got going on.
This was the direct, this one mentioned direct contact.
Yes.
I think that's why Steve thought you might have a question.
I did.
Well, It said direct ask, and I don't know what direct ask means in this case. Is that, hey, we're having lunch, I'm going to ask you for money? Or is that I'm going to send you an email and ask you for money?
Yeah.
Because an email gives me an audit trail. Asking people on the fly does not. And asking people on the fly could be perceived as targeting. And we don't want to do that. That was the question. It wasn't actually this solicitation that I was worried about, but go ahead.
So I've not been part of direct solicitations in the past, but I know our executive director, Tisha Edwards, has and is much more familiar with kind of the rules of engagement than I am. But what I will say is that because this work is quite particular, the guaranteed income kind of network of both national foundations and regional interests are growing. There's generally speaking, people who have even been in touch with us who are just interested in learning about this work. And so far, we've very clearly left any kind of engagement in funding this work off the table because we want to make sure that we're following all the rules locally. There are, however, just known like national foundations, for example, who love this work and whom we would probably, reach out via email, maybe have a meeting with, share what we're doing in Baltimore and see if they have interest in giving. So things like that, I think, would be the most likely scenario for where we would find funders. I would also say that because we are looking to raise a large sum of money, these are not likely going to be a lot of small individual donors who are kind of asked off the fly to make gifts. This will be something that there is going to be a more formal paper trail around. Yes.
Yeah, and this is a new initiative, so there's no previous reports, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that comes back in the report is who did you ask for money or who gave money
and then how much and who gave.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I think it's worth noting that this application and a lot of others mentioned that, it's not as if there are a lot of controlled donors even in mind, but it's sort of a safety valve that if a controlled donor might be included in, in a broad ask, that this sort of provides that permission. But I'm not sure that, for instance, some of the larger philanthropic organizations would even necessarily count as controlled donors relative to your office. I mean, it's always a case-by-case question, but I think that's often what's happened. It's not as if these things come in because the pool of potential donors is going to be thought to be all controlled.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
all right.
And I think Jeff and Mara know that I'm very happy to start with asking them questions before we do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so they get my emails regularly about what we're allowed to, what we're supposed to do, how's the process work. So we are very cognizant that this is an area where the city and the public deserve transparency around kind of the dollars and the particular individuals involved.
And this is the civic fund as well, correct?
So the account is the account has been created at the civic fund. That's where the dollars would be held. Correct.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
I would just ask, hi Leah. I would just ask that if you do, it sounds like you will, but if you do develop any additional parameters around the solicitations that are more concrete, if you could share those with Jeff so that we could have a better sense of how this process works. I note that your proposed ending date of your solicitation efforts it's kind of coming up here fast and furious. It's like only 2 more months. So to that end, do you think that you may extend that date?
Yeah, so that's also a great question. So
it's 2022, so that's a whole year from now. So okay.
But I would say that for this program, part of our obligations in the Mayors for Guaranteed Income network is that we will not start the program until all the funding has been committed, because you don't want to start down a process where you're guaranteeing payments to people and then somewhere in the middle of it run out of money and be stuck and not be able to fulfill that commitment. And so we are likely going to be finishing solicitations well in advance of the end of next calendar year. And certainly before the program launched, all of the solicitations will have been completed. Not necessarily all the dollars in the door, but the solicitations will have been completed. So it's very likely that this is something that that will get completed quickly or relatively quickly. I don't know. Now everything feels like timelines are a little bit wonky, but I think the likelihood that this comes back with a report, a final report well in advance of that end date.
Does the national organization that you mentioned, I'm sorry, I didn't write it down, but the national organization, do they have specific parameters about solicitation?
Not that not that I'm aware of. So
I think we lost you.
Oh, she froze.
Who are?
Oh, there we go.
You
froze for a second. No, it's not your fault. It's technology.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not aware of any kind of restrictions around solicitation that they would put in place. But what I would say is that because they're part of this national network and all the cities are aiming to start pilot programs, are often kind of going back and forth to similar organizations kind of on the national scene for this kind of funding. They do sort of help in terms of giving guidance around where there are potentially interested funders that are aligned to your city's particular project, which we're not there yet. So we don't have that level of kind of detail where they would potentially offer that guidance, but if they were going to offer it, it would only be for the national funders.
Okay. Those are all my questions.
All right. Thank you. Arnold, anything? Okay. All right. Hearing no further discussion. First of all, Mrs. Ferguson, thank you for coming in. It's always helpful when someone presents and we're able to ask questions rather than wonder what, or ask the staff to communicate with the requester for further information. Sometimes it slows things down. So to have you in person is wonderful. We appreciate that. Okay, I would move that. Thank you. All right, I would move that we approve the Mayor's Office of Children and Family Success Guaranteed Income Pilot Solicitation Application. Do I have a second?
Yeah, second.
All right, all in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. All right, we've got holiday toy drive from the Office of the Council President solicitation application. Anybody want to start on that one?
Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, it's light. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, what I remember from it, first of all, I didn't like calling it a toy drive. If the real purpose is to collect money. I know that's a nit, but a toy drive is we're gonna and later in the explanation it does say whoever is accounting for the funds will be collecting toys, but earlier in the application it says the purpose of this is to collect cash.
I think it said in-kind donations, but there could potentially be some funds. Is that what this one said?
I got to get it pulled up. Hold on.
Yeah, it says solicit donations.
I'll give some
monetary and in kind. Yeah,
monetary and in kind. I'll give a brief background on this one. I had looked actually at some historical applications because the City Council President's Office has done a toy drive around the holiday season.
Okay,
Yes.
that's what I was going to ask. Is this new or has it been done before?
It's
It's been done.
It's been done, and I'll even say, Aaron DeGraff.
So there's a previous report on it?
From the previous council president's administration, yes. And I think one of the difficulties around primarily in-kind solicitation campaigns is, it's not quite as easy to say who's going to have custody of funds, because you're looking at toys, and then on the final reports, what they try to do is estimate the value of the toys that have been donated and kind of fit it into the value equation, and break it down to maybe the monetary value. And and Aaron had been in contact with us, and he wanted to look at the previous solicitation reports and waivers to make sure he was trying to get this one right, and at least his impartation, I think, on here and to us was this will primarily be in kind. So they're primarily just looking at toys, but didn't want to rule out the possibility that there might be somebody who gives some money potentially for the purpose of toys as well.
I didn't get that impression.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I'll go back. I mean, if you read it closely,
I'm pulling it up.
Say monetary and in kind, and then it talks about picking up toys, and it makes it sound like any additional. Let me see where the specific
monetary and in-kind donations will be applied to provide toys. Okay.
Right, but then keep going, and then they talk more about it. Solicit a wide variety of individuals. Wait. Yeah, I'm sorry, the phone is in the way. Toys, games, and other gifts at various locations. The movement team will collect any funds in a commingled account.
Yeah, I didn't get that either. In a commingled account. And
that's what I was, that's the only eyebrow raising part of this to me.
Well, I don't know the movement.
They disclose the commingling account, and then it looks like the sentence ends. I don't have an addendum. I didn't see an addendum that complements the rest of that answer to indicate who has access to the funds. But just the commingling of the account indicates to me that we might not know whether or not these funds are going to the purpose for which they're being solicited.
And I'm not familiar with the movement team.
I'm not either.
The account.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of information on them online when I looked it up. They're a sort of community nonprofit group. I mean, one of the things I was thinking on this, and yeah, the commingled funds part was a little eyebrow raising. I mean, if it's true that this solicitation is for in-kind donation of toys for the sort of traditional Office of Council President toy drive, I mean, that's something that could be made clear in if you approve this, you could say that we approve it for in-kind donations, and not for funds, and we can make that clear in the approval letter. So that would be one option here, because I note that there's kind of a quick turnaround time.
I would really like to be able to let them have both in-kind and monetary donations. I mean, this is such an important cause. I feel like that, but I also, if we could get, do you think we can get clarity on the commingling of the funds? If they could set up a separate account, and how about this? If they want to do funds, we're gonna have to require that they have an independent account that is exclusively for the use of purchase for toys for this, and that there's no commingling of funds.
Yeah,
I hate to cut this off at the knees like that.
Yeah, no, look, because it does say in question 2, monetary and in-kind donations will be applied to provide toys, games, and other gifts for children. So it definitely leads me to believe that any money we receive, we are going to buy gifts or, gifts for children. But then it does say it'll be commingled with their other with their account to provide for their mission. Where it's
Right,
at.
and I don't know what that is.
Right, and that may be providing gift cards for children, but I don't know that right now. Arnold,
you're
you are
muted.
muted, but you got something to say. Let's talk.
I'm sorry. I was saying we cannot sign off on anything that says commingling. That is suicidal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to have them say, as someone just said, Melody, I think just said, that it has to be an independent account, in which, so then there's accountability. When you commingle, you've jumped off the ledge, and anything can happen.
Yeah, you've lost your audit, your independent audits. So
Also, Jeff, have I missed something? Because this question 2 ends.
You got to hit the plus sign. Hit the plus sign.
No. I'm looking at question 2 where it says, after the commingled part, it says that fund will only be accessible by the blank.
Hit the plus sign.
I know Donna is our IT wizard. I just figured that out too. That was really smart, Donna.
It's a little scroll over on the right. It says that fund's only accessible by authorized individuals of the organization.
Or
cool.
Thanks.
Just click on it. Yeah. I don't know if you plus sign on mine, but if you just click on it, it opens up the full answer.
Okay, I see it. Authorized individuals. All right.
But that doesn't bias anything either.
Right,
I agree.
Right.
Yeah. Because again, I don't really know anything about this organization. So I'm not.
Yeah. And the fact that it's only accessible by folks within the organization doesn't.
I don't think commingling is good accounting practices. So it makes me suspect of the organization doing it. And I have no reason other than that to say I'm not ready to approve it.
It shouldn't be terribly onerous to create a separate account for these funds. It really shouldn't be.
Not if that's their business.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you like to do this one then? I mean, I'm only sort of saying it, you could potentially be approved with those contingencies or understandings, because there is now a short turnaround time before the holidays. And I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth, obviously, but you could make any conditions for your approval that we need here. I mean, I agree with you. Like, it would either be no funds, or if there are funds that can't be commingled, needs to be an independent account.
Yeah.
Please provide supplemental information on how that will be achieved.
It has to be a dedicated account for this effort. Yep. For accountability. Yep.
Can we say approved subject to the independent account being created, or in-kind donations only? In lieu of that, we would suggest only in-kind donations. But again, I hate to do that to the kids.
And I'm sorry, guys. Somebody tried to call me in. I declined, and it kicked me off the call. I got back on, but now I'm not able to hit for you to see me.
Oh, we can.
We can see you. We can see your forehead.
We think you look great.
There you go.
Whoa.
Now, I wasn't sure if it was you and Impossible with those glasses off. Now I know it's you.
Can't see me. Okay, that's good. At least it's working. All right. Good thing you told me. Thanks a lot. Okay. No, I do think this is one of those things that we could do a turnaround on. Even if we have to do a quick meeting, in a week or 10 days. I just, Melody, you worked in City Hall in the sub basement there, I think you told me, and you remember the holiday toy drive. It's kind of a big deal at City Hall.
It is.
You see the Amazon trucks drive out, and it's like Santa's elves, or bringing all these toys in. It's pretty impressive, and certainly as long as the movement team understands how this has to operate, we're all supportive of it. But I do think your points are valid, and I think that we should get a little quick further clarification. Thank you.
Okay, so you got it, Jeff?
So more clarification, and then you'll try to do a quick approval, not approval now with contingencies. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, but tell them why.
Right.
If you're going to do cash, then you need a dedicated account.
Yeah, or amend your application at a very minimum to remove the commingling reference.
Because we want to keep honest people honest.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And can you tell us from previous years, did they take in cash and who managed the cash? Do you know?
It looked. I don't think I saw cash on the most recent one I looked at. It's been a little while. I think it was just sort of toys, and then they estimated an amount. But I can also circulate that around. It's possible there wasn't as much information as we all would like to see now. And I think it ended before the last one ended before we were all sort of here potentially. But yeah, I can circulate that around to you as well.
Okay.
All right. So
yeah, there's no just for FYI that I can see, looking at their website. Usually on a not for profit, you see the board and the leadership, and I can't find that. So.
All right. So, but we're in agreement on it to move
okay.
further review, right?
Yep.
We'll move this for further review. Okay. Any objection to sending this for further review? All right, we'll consider that item completed. American Recovery Plan Act grant application. That'll be our final order of new business at this session.
Yes, this was me. This is to keep you apprised of something that we're thinking about. I think Lee mentioned that there's this pot of money for this in the city now, American Recovery Plan funds, and there's a grant application for internal agencies to apply for a variety of improvements or programs that at least has some direct or indirect tie to the pandemic. And one of the indirect ties that are listed in the application is being a responsible steward of city resources. So you can see from the application, if you took a look at it, we're trying to make the bid that, having a very stable, user-friendly, secure online financial disclosure system and lobbyist reporting system that has administrative needs, such as running reports that we need, updating the systems when the law changes, things like that, is going to make the ethics board, fully remote, fully digital, in a way that we never have to return to the in-person kind of paper processes, which at the beginning of the COVID pandemic, we found ourselves in. I mean, because of the fragile previous online system that we had, and sort of we don't want to be in that same boat, even with the stopgap system that we have. So we at least thought it was worth a shot to put in an application, and we'd gather some information from vendors who could potentially develop what we were looking for. Clearly it was just information gathering. If we ended up getting grant funds, we would need to probably go through an RFP. I need to look into that a little bit more, if it'd be RFP or sole source. But just to let you know, that's if there is some money on the table and there's something that we can make a pitch for on the ethics side, we went for it.
Congratulations to you and you, Mara, for always being up on these things. And
yeah.
I can't think of a better use of our tax dollars than helping build this Office of Ethics. It has been so neglected for so long. So, bravo.
Well, thanks. We'll keep you updated. I'm not entirely sure what the timeline looks like.
Yeah.
So, we did get that application in last week.
Excellent.
Great job, guys.
Good job.
All right. I believe that's the end of our new business. And I would move that we
one more.
Oh, my bad. The new one. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Cohen.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. Let me pull that one up. I did review it earlier. Is there any specific questions or objections there too? He knows his way around these forms. Say that.
Has he put his report in from the last time?
So, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, go ahead, Mara. You can update. We were just talking about that actually before the meeting.
Yes, so he's been so they've been very timely with their reports. Recently, we're still waiting on the closing the digital divide report. That was due at the end of September. That one, there, as far as I know, there were no solicitations and no donations. As of September, there were no solicitations or donations unless they received it following the expiration of the campaign. That one should be just like a blank report, but we have not received that, and I have sent follow-ups, and then we're waiting on interim reports, which should come in this week. But besides those kind of upcoming reports, all of the other ones have been filed.
All right. Any other discussion on this one?
I thought his response was excellent, robust.
Mm-hmm.
I have no issue with it.
No, I mean, he knows what our protocols are and what, the things that we want to have addressed. And so for that, I'm grateful. So I'd move for approval of Councilman Cohen's Healing Cities Baltimore Summit 2022 application. I guess second.
Second.
All right. All in favor of Healing City Baltimore Summit 2022 application signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and, unless there's any other business, we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting and enter into administrative session.
That sounds good.
All right. Thank you all. We'll see you soon.